get my coffee right quick. Oh yeah, flavor country. All right, so this is that Tessies nightmare. So good job on getting that knocked out already. Kind of jumped the gun. I was gonna, making this video here, but you already got the face frame done and got the wall backer going. So already kind of talked to Jose about some of this stuff, but just want to make sure you're just gonna have those two holes there for the mounting, wherever the M is. But otherwise, we got to make sure those holes all disappear without getting Bondo worms, as I call them, on the inside of monuments. You can see when we get them back from paint, wherever they squish the metal glaze through, it creates a little 1/2 inch worm. It's all hardened up. Wouldn't be a problem, but the ones around the perimeter here will interfere with the mount along the top. So I told Jose to kind of just go ahead and do those with Lords, scrape it up, make it look clean. That way, when this all gets flat blocked and cleaned up, and the seams have to be kind of treated like some, hey, got to do some metal working sometimes, man. I got to be a craftsman, not just a person who puts signs together. Sometimes you got to be a craftsman in your trade. So anyway, but yeah, you guys already got all knocked out. I told him I would take some gold screws and mount this to the table and then make sure that everything lines up as it should. Make sure there's no interference, deconflict anything. I have it to where the two top cleats do all the work. They're going to do all the handling, and then the two bottom cleats are a 1/16 up a little bit, so that way they don't bottom first and it's kind of teetery or anything. So this guy does all the work. This guy does the work to kind of keep it from coming off the wall. And then the two, once it's on there, these two top screws, make sure they're countersinked, make sure they're kind of sexy, because this thing is sort of, I think, let me grab a symbol right quick. Let me wake up my symbols here. Wake up, wake up. Where's my homie? Let's see. There's my homie right there. Hey, come on, homie. Get over here, boy. There you go. So this thing is going to be pretty much, I think, according to like right about there. So you got to make sure everything's looking good. The screws could be quote unquote visible if somebody wants to pay attention to them, but I kind of put them up top there. But anyway, but these two seams, unfortunately, there's no way to do that. I would have put them at noon and 6, but having it right at noon with the kind of clear illuminated, it would have literally illuminated those seams. So I figured having the seams here and have them sort of disappear into, this is all kind of noisy visually. So having the seams there would be just better. And then this is one clean piece that way, because everyone's going to be kind of looking here, but they'll kind of be drawn to this area. So I didn't want the seam up top on the strap. But the idea is it's going to be right there. And people who do pay attention and care about these things, which are just sign guys, make sure that looks clean. So you guys already have that, but test fit it, make sure everything's good, make sure those screws look good, keep everything countersunk, looking sexy. Boom. So all that's left is the LEDs and how it all assembles. Now, I'm not necessarily throwing JR under the bus, but essentially he's going to take point because he's going to, he's handling all the funky UV texture, all these mountain textures here, the paints and stuff. But for us, we got the LED action. That's what's left for us. So I was going to kind of show you what I had in mind on that. What's on my mind, grapes. So once everything's all good there, so you got the funky sunrise, which would be a great drink. Sounds like that funky sunrise is this stuff. So that just goes to first shot. But again, JR knows what like vinyl's going on it, what weird finish is going on that. For you guys, your meat and potatoes is the main backer. So the main backer gets riv nuts. Yeah, keep saying riv nuts. We haven't done brass inserts in a minute. So we got 1024 brass inserts. All of the ones that don't have the countersink are the brass inserts on here, and those correspond to the metal backer. And I would encourage you to do this immediately, get those nailed in, and then make sure that there isn't any problems putting this onto this. Make sure everything lines up okay. That way there's no surprises when this all comes together. Because when you guys are assembling this, it's going to be fiddly, make sure you don't scratch anything. So it's going to be a lot of blankets and soft bits and making sure that, everything is nice and soft, safe. So let's make sure while everything's not painted, do a clean run, understand the mission, understand the assignment, make sure everything goes together properly, and you kind of have a clear path. That way, once everything is all, we're not scraping and grinding and making something fit when it has like thousands of dollars worth of labor on a, painted finish that could get trashed. So anyway, so let's make sure everything goes together okay. Hopefully it should. But you've got 1024 brass inserts on this, and then you have 1024 brass inserts on this. And then these clearance this, that's what these are for. And then, so the whole point is that the main backer does all the work before it goes on to the metal backer. So the main backer will hold this on, and then this first mountain gets everything else glued to it once everything's painted. But let's make sure like these little stud holes all kind of line up. I am going to send you the cut list. That was following on. I didn't send that with a whole package, but McMaster should be dropping you off some 1/8 inch acrylic rod, and then the 3/16 like we've been using for Eisenhower. I've just got some more. These guys are little nubbins, and then those are about a 1 inch. And of course, now you can kind of sand them if you need to make it fit. So the whole point is that the main backer does all the lifting while it's out, and then this guy does all the lifting for all this. So this gets treated with the UV. These are sort of like island fill down all the way through. That's going to get indexed with those 4 3/16 pins there. And then the 16th inch pins though will do a lot of work too, because those will go through from the letters into this guy. So all that will help align. And then you have your holes for the 3/16. This right here stops. This is the 3/16 for this, just to there. But these 3/16 boys bottom out onto this guy. I figured what would happen is you could use the 16th rods for the letters to actually go through there and make sure that that lines up. So use the rods. I don't think you want to glue the rods. I would think you want to put the rods in here and then let the rods align this, and then skewer the letters onto the rods, because the letters should have the proper 16th acrylic rod holes. Rod holes. Wow, that's a name. Yeah, so that way, and you're just gonna, I don't know if it's just CA glue. I don't know if you need to do thin glue. I don't know if just CA glue might work to hold all this together. I'll kind of leave that up to you. And then the whole point though, for the lighting, so let's get into the lighting. So that's the final assembly. I'm sure you can kind of figure that out. So what they're looking for is just, this is all going to be opaque. And it's only the thickness. So this is 1/4 inch acrylic, and this is 1/4 inch acrylic, and then this is 1/2 inch acrylic. But the 1/4 inch acrylic is kind of not see-through. It's opaque. So all you have is the burn along the edge. And then essentially for this one, you just have the burn along the edge, but you also have to light the letters. So this is where this backer kind of shows the story. It's kind of confusing, but that's what this is. So I give you the inside. I'm going to go ahead and fill it. So this is where you need to fill with light. However, the only place that needs to be like carpet bombed is these letters right here. This would be your, all of this I see being tracer, but this right here, you just kind of want to fill this with full tracer. And then this, really all you need is a tracer here. And this is the line for that mountain, except here, this will be taken care of by the letters. That's fine. But as you taper out here, there'll be nothing. So technically you really only need a tracer along this edge and make it cruise, and then come along to where it says no LED, because anything in here is going to get smashed. I left that there so that way we could get some screws in there. So you got to make sure that that kind of tucks in there. So that's all Tracerville. Tracer and wires can live all in here. Okay. But once you get here, you'll have this tracer, like this row of tracers will take care of that T, but I think you want to just start the tracers, and then you're just going to go back and forth through here, light these boys up, and then bring it down and just probably do a stripe right across those letters. And then that will take care of this mountain, but then you'll just have a couple ears. So I think a tracer along here and a tracer along there. And then this is technically all just dead. This is all dark. So you don't really need to fill down in here. Unless, and again, all of this is based on testing though, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be good to go. But I mean, we haven't tested. So you're also going to be doing all this and then waiting for the final assembly and like, ta-da. So hopefully now the big challenge on this one is you got that. Okay. So yeah, so you got tracer all up in here. You got tracer there. You can see what I'm talking about. You're going to just fill it with tracers here and then chase along there, chase along here, chase along here. This one though is the issue because this is supposed to light with nothing behind it. Yeah. So this channel is actually going to be firing up and this is going to be doing the most lifting. So that's what I have that groove in the main backer. That's what this is for. This is not stuck to the backer like the other tracers will be. This actually gets stuck in there along the bottom and fires out. So we're relying on the clear acrylic to allow that LED to blast out. So, and the problem is we're going to need the most lumens, the most photons we can get. So I'm almost thinking we use that Eisenhower principle, the stuff that has dots like crazy, and we use that along the top and bottom of those donor signs. I'm thinking maybe even more than tracer, as long as we can match the colors. But it's not going to matter too much because this is going to be shooting into an orange and then these guys will be actually white. So all of this could theoretically be its own flavor, if you will, but we just need photons. Like we just need lumens, lux, whatever. So I would maybe try that principal stuff and you're just going to stick it to the inside bottom there and fire it into the plex and then cruise along. And then this is your leash out. So you will have a leash out. I'm not sure about where the power supply is going in the wall, but give it a good leash. But this will have its own leash and silicone it up. Bring it down though. Make sure you're clear on whatever's back here. But you need to get to the power hole. So you can see where this would be the leash for that crazy mountain thing. It's going to be right about here. So make sure that it's all siliconed and padded, but it's no stress. Make sure there's no stress on this right here, strain relief, and then get it over to that power hole. And then the backer itself will have its own leash too. So there's two leashes there. Right. So all of this you can accumulate into either one or two leashes. I don't know how many, if you use Betro, you know, you can only go what 16 feet per leash or whatever. So you might have two leashes on this. I don't know. But, so those two leashes will go into the wall separately. They'll have to feed them, out. Or I guess you could theoretically combine it if you wanted right before you seal it up. When you take the main backer that has everything, you could theoretically combine it while it's sort of loose and then clamp it shut and then make the connection back here. Or you can make the connection out the back because we do have a 1 inch, we have 1 inch to play with back here. So this is all hollow. So theoretically, I guess you could take this leash once you get it all assembled and attach it and do a little zip tie stuff and then have one leash for everything. If that's how it works out. I don't know. Maybe we want two power supplies. I'm not sure. But be ready because we haven't really tested this. We kind of have and we haven't, but you can kind of see where this is a lot of light to cover, with just that one strip going like that and firing into it. I'm not even sure also whether we want to paint this completely white. I think we do because we want the most bounce and then the weird, this stuff will, you know, change it to the color we want. I don't know if we want to paint if we want to paint this amber, like this part of it, but we want that white there. Not quite sure how all that's going to work out. So, yeah. And then this white is supposed to be coming out white, but it's blasting into amber. What's going to happen is this amber is going to contaminate this and it's going to change this into so probably a half and half. It's going to be where, you know, fresh water meets salt water right in the slack tide right there. So I don't know if this is just going to be a crisp white with and then turn into amber, because the amber is going to be so close to it. It might actually make this its own thing, but we have 1/2 inch right here. And my hope is my design will help out. What you're doing is capturing, let me see if I have one set up here. you're going to be capturing the amber with the 1/2 inch. So the 1/2 inch is being routed upside down. You turn me. And so that's going to be an island fill, right? And then that way we can tool free the funky sunrise. We can just capture it. And then once you put it in there with the rim of the sign itself, there's no way for that to come out. If it does want to sort of tip forward a little bit, maybe we put a tiny bit of silicone, but the idea is that the 1/2 inch will capture it. That's why it has that ledge. So this part here should match white as long as this doesn't get contaminated and cause it to amber out. I would almost maybe think of doing a little bit, make the amber stop early and let this stay clear right in this area. That way the light has a chance to leave clear. If you put amber all the way to the end, it might capture and then this will be contaminated with amber. It's already going to be bouncing onto amber, so it's going to look amber, and I'm just going to keep saying amber. So anyway, that's the idea there. We might have to test that a little bit, but hopefully it works. But you can see the problem is, here's your channel, and then here's your LED going to go like right there. So good luck getting that boy, to fire all of its photons up and through in order to light, this amber boy up right here. So the funky sunrise. So that's where your channel lives. So, yeah, like I said, maybe the Sloan principal ones that are super dotted, they have crazy amounts of diodes. That might be able to put a lot of light up there. But I believe those are 6500. So as long as we can do 6500 and the rest, if you want to use tracers, or if you want to take that principle and sort of bend it around and make it work, I don't know, make it work. Anyway, so I think you got it. And then the letters and everything is just assembly, kind of a la like you did with Eisenhower letters and stuff. But and then these are going to be lasered out, and then you're going to be using the texture. The texture is going to be oversized a little bit, and then you're just going to be, again, I guess, just CA glue. I'm not sure you want to do thin glue, because I don't know how thin glue will attack the paint here, because this is going to be all painted, but the UV will leave this open for you to glue the clear to the clear. So you're just going to have these little letters. You're going to have to just just stick them on there with, probably, like I said, probably CA glue is your best bet. But, and then hopefully, because this is going to be Tahoe, so hopefully puffy coats and sweaters aren't going to catch these letters and then just rip them off. So we'll see. We'll see. This will be fun. So anyway, knocking on wood, the assembly seems pretty straightforward. It's just get your jeweler's loop out, get your fiddly bits on, put your lab coat on when it comes time to assemble this thing, and see what you can do to try to, put it together and make it light properly. So anyway, but I think you guys got it, and good job, good hustle for already knocking all this stuff out, man. Great. You beat me to it. All right. Well, that's it. So if you have any questions, hit me up.
Check the technique. Check the technique. See if you